What is going on, everybody? So, I'm back today to talk about a film that was released last year from a director who I feel like I could best describe him as consistently inconsistent, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I think that he has made some really incredible movies over the years, and that director is Steven Soderbergh. And so, when he released a movie last year that I feel like didn't get a lot of buzz around it, and that kind of was one of those flash in a pan movies that I feel like people talked about for about a week and that I didn't hear much about afterwards, I decided I wanted to check it out on my own, and the film I'm going to be discussing today is Kimi. Kimi is directed by Steven Soderbergh. During the COVID-19 pandemic in Seattle, an agoraphobic tech worker discovers evidence of a violent crime while reviewing data stream, and is met with resistance and bureaucracy when she tries to report it to her company. Involved, she realizes she must face her greatest fear by venturing out of her apartment and into the city streets, which are filled with protesters in the wake of city council passing a law restricting the movements of the homeless population. So I ended up being pleasantly surprised by this movie. I don't think that it's perfect, but it's kind of like Rear Window-esque in the COVID-19 era. So our lead character is Angela, played by Zoë Kravitz, and as the description states, she's agoraphobic. She barely ever leaves her house. She works for this company that essentially uses this product called Kimi, which is essentially like an Amazon Alexa or one of those products where it can hear everything that you say, and you can order food and call people and do all the things that does. And so what she does is she goes over different usage issues with it, where someone will ask the product a question and it can't accurately respond. And so she goes through and fixes all those so that she can send it back into the developers and then they can get that all figured out. So she really likes this guy that lives across the street from her who comes over sometimes, but he really can't seem to grasp her agoraphobia. The beginning of the film, we see her trying to leave the house, but she's really struggling. She can't wrap her mind around leaving, and we know that something has happened to her that has kind of triggered all this. And so she ends up going through the files, and one day she stumbles upon something that sounds like a murder or an assault or something that has occurred, and she wants to take it to her business, but she gets like all these people who kind of push back at her until she finally realizes that she's going to have to overcome her fear and go in and get it resolved herself. So this movie was really great in that it builds up suspense really well, especially once Angela leaves the apartment. I feel like that's when the movie really kind of takes off, when Zoe Kravitz's character has to like face her fear and get into this situation that becomes really intriguing and thought-provoking, especially with technology now. I liked that this movie was able to incorporate COVID, but not in a way that it was the centralized focus of the movie. It was just like, okay, it's a product of the times. This is what we're living through, and it's going to be a part of the movie, which was really cool because there's a lot of movies that were shot during COVID and around that time period that feel so heavily focused on it that it feels like they're going to be dated really quickly, which I love a movie like this that can just have that in the background and that can sort of build that up in a way. Zoe Kravitz is phenomenal in this. I feel like I consistently love her more and more in everything that I see. She was phenomenal in the Batman that came out last year as well. Just truly an amazing actress who commands the screen when she's in a movie. And I think she does a phenomenal job in this movie as well. She's so believable when she gets out there and is having to try to conquer her agoraphobia. It gets really tense. You can just feel the anxiety on her face, even in the moments where she has to wear a mask, just all through her eyes and her bodily movements. She does such a phenomenal job in all of those sequences. And I think this movie does a great job of building up that intrigue and mystery until the third act payoff. There are some moments that feel a little repetitive. It's an hour and 20-minute runtime, which some of it feels like it could have been trimmed down or sort of shifted a little bit. The screenplay could have been polished up just a hair, but that's a very little complaint for what this movie is, because I feel like for the short runtime, it is incredibly effective in what it is trying to do. And I think when you're trying to tell this story that has been told before, this isn't like anything super new or original. I feel like we've seen this type of movie over and over again, and despite seeing this type of movie over and over again, Soderbergh was able to do something unique enough to keep keep your attention, to keep you excited and engaged. And that's the type of movie that I'm always looking for, is one that's going to take me by surprise. And this one was really entertaining, and I'm glad that I watched it, and I'm surprised more people haven't mentioned it, and I hope more people will check it out. So have you seen Kimi? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was a blast. I really didn't know what to expect from it, and I ended up being really entertained. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.